Hello there, it's Soda. Welcome back to another video. Today's video is going to be a very exciting one, and I cannot wait to talk about it. So without further ado, let's get straight into the video. As we all know, copper became a new addition to Minecraft in recent years. It wasn't part of classic Minecraft as we always had coal, iron, gold, lapis, diamonds, and of course emeralds. Eventually, it was added in Minecraft's 1.17 update, also called the Caves and Cliffs update, released on June 8th, 2021. It was considered a very massive update in the Minecraft community to date, which changed and added so many new things to Minecraft. The copper ore was one of those things. It was an exciting moment for me and a lot of us at the time because it was very refreshing to finally see new ores in Minecraft after so many years of having the same ones, as wonderful as they are. I know we had netherite, but that was a super rare ore only found in the nether. We're talking about the regular overworld. While I was super excited to have copper added to Minecraft, there really wasn't much use to it. The only things you could craft out of copper include lightning rods, spy glasses, and building blocks. I love the building blocks, but the thing is, if you want to keep the color in its original form, you'd have to get honeycombs from beehives to wax it. Otherwise, it would oxidize. I will admit, I was very disappointed that the copper had very limited usage. I was really hoping there would be tools and armor to it, especially since copper was so common that you can literally fill up your inventory when you go mining. Later on, over the years, copper did become a little bit more useful. In the 1.20 update, the Trails and Tails update include armor trims, which allow you to use the gemstones in Minecraft to decorate your armor. This includes gems like copper, emerald, and amethyst, which barely had any purpose outside their limited functions. So it was nice to see them utilized more. And of course, we had the 1.21 Tricky Trials update. This expanded on copper usage to introduce the trial chambers, as well as more copper blocks. These blocks include copper bulbs, chisel copper, copper grate, copper door, and copper trapdoor, all of their own stages of oxidation. Which was wonderful since it not only added more decoration to copper blocks, but helped out with expanding the redstone mechanics that connected to copper material. Now, all these add-ons to copper were really amazing for an item that started out with limited uses when it was first introduced. But despite this, I still had one major nitpick about copper usage, and that was the copper builds. My main problem with this is that if you want to make a build out of copper, and you want to use the shiny color it starts with or any other specific color, it can oxidize into green over time. The only way you could prevent that is by waxing it with a honeycomb. And getting a honeycomb is not easy because it requires 1. Finding a bee nest, usually near flower forests or plain biomes. 2. Setting up a campfire and ensuring the nest at the right honey level. And 3. Managing bees carefully so they don't die or become hostile. That can be a lot of work. It's not fair to players who simply want building blocks, especially in survival mode. And well, in case you haven't noticed, the vast majority of items made from copper is a copper build, which I think isn't very effective. And not to mention that copper is common in Minecraft. It can fill up your inventory super quickly when mining. With all that said, this is where the latest copper add-ons will come into play. Not only does this expand on copper usage, but you don't have to worry about oxidization. And it will add other things that so many players have asked for. In today's video, I'll be breaking down the new uses for copper that will be releasing in the upcoming fall drop of 2025. And keep in mind that at the time I'm scripting and recording, all this information is still new. Things will likely change between now and release. Okay, to start things off, we're going to be talking about the Copper Golem. I think a lot of us recognize this mob from the mob votes. Back in 2021, the Copper Golem was introduced to Minecraft mob vote and went up against the Alley and Glare, but unfortunately it ended up losing to the Alley, which is disappointing because I actually voted for the Copper Golem. This is important to point out because for years, the mob vote has become very controversial due to the fact that the mobs who win end up being useless most of the time, and the mobs who lost end up being forgotten or left behind, never mentioned again. Many people saw lost mobs as a wasted opportunity. They're like, why just put it in a vote where you can just put it in the game? You know what I mean? The mob vote was a very cool idea because it allowed the community to speak to developers, and I certainly liked it. However, it ended up becoming hated very quickly that they no longer do mob votes. With that in mind, it seems like Mojang is finally listening to the community. First, we're getting occasional updates because people always complained about having one drop per year, and now they bring back a lost mob from the mob vote. Isn't that cool? Now, enough rambling. Let's talk about the mob itself. As of right now, the Copper Golem is less of a defender and more of a helper. What it essentially does, it sorts your items from your copper chests and organizes them into your regular chests. That can be essentially useful when you're one of those players who has messy and disorganized storage. Which sounds very cool, although I'm very curious on how the AI will work for that. Villager traits I understand, but I'm also wondering how the Copper Golem can tell which chest to store your specific items in. I'm gonna guess that if you have a chest full of, say, iron and gold, the Copper Golem will put your ores into that chest. Same like wood, stone, food, that kind of stuff. So that's gonna be like a lot of complicated AI for that, which is gonna be interesting to see. Then again, I already organized my items, so I'm wondering if players with disorganized chests will want to use that too. That, or they just simply want a fun little companion, which is also 100% valid. Other than that, I don't really see any other uses for Copper Golems. But hey, it's still exciting nonetheless. Now, how do you craft a Copper Golem? Well, it's very simple. All you have to do is place one pumpkin head on top of a copper block, and that Copper Golem will transfer into a certain copper color or stage, depending on the state of the copper block you are using. And beneath your new friend will automatically spawn a copper chest. Which brings us to our next topic, the copper chest. As I said just now, copper chests are created when you spawn in a Copper Golem, but you can also craft them too. All you have to do is take 8 copper blocks, place them like you craft a chest, and then place a regular chest in the middle, and boom, you get yourself a copper chest. Now, what about oxidization? Is it going to oxidize like the regular blocks? Yes, both copper chests and copper golems will oxidize. So, just like with the regular blocks, they will oxidize unless you add honeycomb to them. The point of the copper chest is connected with the Copper Golem as we discussed earlier. The Golem will go to copper chest and take out the items you placed in there, and then they will sort them into the regular chest you have. We have already explained the lore with the Copper Golem, so I think that the copper chests here are very self-explanatory. So yeah, if you want to use it for organization, then go right ahead. But if you're like me and you want to use the copper chest for decoration, then hey, that's cool too. Why not? I mean, I already used ender chest for decoration anyway, so yeah. Now, before we get to my favorite part of this section, I want to quickly talk about copper nuggets, even if they're really not as major. We already have iron and gold nuggets, but now we're getting copper nuggets, which is very nice. It's very simple. It basically works just like iron and gold nuggets. You can obtain 9 of them from 1 ingot, or you can smelt a copper item in the furnace and use it to craft a single ingot. As of now, the copper nugget doesn't have very much use beyond that, but regardless, it's still a very fun and cool addition to Minecraft. And last but not least, the one thing I'm so excited to talk about, copper tools and weapons. Yes, that's right, ladies, gentlemen, and non-binary people. That is correct. The latest update will be adding new tools and weapons in the form of copper. If you're a regular viewer on my channel and have seen my armor trends video, which, by the way, is exciting to watch, you know that more armor variants is what makes me the most excited, because you can always express yourself with the different colors, trims, and everything. I said this earlier, but I'll say it here. When the copper was introduced to Minecraft, many people were excited and expected it to come with tools and armor. But sadly, we were let down by very little use to it, despite it filling up our inventories before we reached Deep Slate. But this right here, awesome. Not only does it continue to add a new addition to Copper, but expands on the armor and tools aesthetic too. That way, you can have more colored armors to wear instead of just depending on the silence trim, as cool as it is. Copper tools and armor can also come in handy when you're starting out early in the game. Say you need the proper tools and weapons to mine and defend yourself, but you have not yet found iron. That's where copper can help you out, especially since copper is like so common. The durability and rarity level stands between stone and iron, which I mean is quite ironic since gold runs out super easily, but whatever. But still, like I said, especially fits when you're just starting out, so why not? And the best part, the armor and tools won't oxidize. How cool is that? You know, I was worried that it could possibly happen, but given the fact that copper trims don't oxidize, I'm very happy. So all your worries are getting honeycomb, just wax armor and tools. Don't stress yourself out, you'll be fine. One thing I will say about this level issue is that when it comes to survival, it seems like less and less people will use the leather armor, as well as the wooden and stone swords. But then again, no one wants to use those anyway once they upgrade, and those are just starter tools. However, this can also be helpful because as weak as leather armor is, it can be hard to get at times when there are hardly any cows nearby. So you won't be able to get the amount of leather you need, especially when it can take a while to find, let alone kill cows that early on. I mean, yeah, you can still use leather armor to dye your armor wherever you want, but copper armor is still good too. But yeah, I am so thrilled about getting new armor and weapon variants, especially for copper. I mean, come on, just look how beautiful this is. More colors to choose from, and more armor appearances. We haven't had any new armor and weapon material since 2020 when the major Nether update released. I mean, yeah, we had armor trims, but I'm talking about armor material. So like I said, adding copper armor and weapons is the best thing to happen. So yeah, to sum it all up, the fall drop of 2025 will be adding more uses to copper, which includes exciting features such as the copper golem, copper chests, and of course, copper tools and weapons. I am more thrilled that we're getting more uses to copper, and it's especially warm and welcoming to all the fans who wanted more potential in the loser mobs from the mob vote. They are no longer losers, but winners in a different way. With this in mind, they could possibly add other unexpected things as time goes on, or expansions on what has already been announced. Based on what we saw so far, one thing I like to see is more uses for the copper nuggets. Mojang has the most shiniest opportunity, place the nuggets in say loot chests in the dungeons, strongholds, or even the trial chambers. Now how cool would that be? The other nuggets in the game have been used to craft stuff such as glistering melons, lanterns, even gold apples and carrots. So they can do something similar for copper nuggets as well. One thing they should definitely add in the future is the other lost mobs from the mob vote. With Mojang finally listening to community and how they brought back the copper golem, many people are excited for the possibility of Mojang bringing them what they always wanted, potential for the lost mobs to be finally added to the game. Now this is exciting. Now, as of right now, I can't think of any other possible add-ons, but I want to hear your thoughts. What would you like to see in this upcoming fall drop? Let me know in the comments below. I cannot wait to hear your suggestions, as well as what awaits us in the future. Anyway, that's all for today's video. If you enjoyed, please make sure you like the video, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to my channel for more exclusive content like this. Until next time, I will see you all later. Bye!